Hello and welcome to Current Issues with me, Tarun. The cabinet reshuffle of July 5 has given message to all and sundry in the party that no one in the BJP is above scrutiny. It has not only consolidated the hold of Modi and BJP President Amit Shah over the government and the party, but also sent some feelers with decisions like shifting of Smriti Irani from the high-profile Human Resource Development Ministry to the Textiles Ministry and appointing Prakash Javadekar as Minister for Human Resource Development and elevating him to the cabinet rank. Shifting of Minister of State Jayant Sinha from finance to aviation. We discussed the issue with BJP spokesperson Amit Malviya and Congress spokesperson Muhammad Khan. But first, have a look at what Smriti Irani told the media today after taking charge of the Textile Ministry.
Today I take charge of a ministry which is the second largest employer in our country after agriculture, predominantly engaging with a lot of women across segments. I am grateful that I have been given an opportunity to serve in this sector. I recognize that this sector is one of the sectors which has been undertaken under the Make in India campaign of the Honorable Prime Minister. I am hopeful that the emphasis with regards to better engagement with industry in order to facilitate growth in exports will be the cornerstone of our efforts here. Also, we will ensure that the weavers, who are the very bedrock of this ministry, get full support in order to expand their incomes and to pass on the heritage and the culture ingrained in the textile sector onto the next generation.
Before we move on to our panelists, my team will put out some graphic details of the whole ministerial change right here before you. So Irani's degree dilemma is what we are discussing today. The first one was Delhi University's FIUP rollback that caused a lot of controversy and media frenzy. Also, as you can see before your screen, there were issues like issues on her education qualification. The case is pending in court. Delhi University's FIUP rollback was one of the issues. IIT director's resignation, that also caused a lot of news. Nuclear scientist Anil Kakodkar, who was apparently unhappy with the minister's way of functioning. Bureaucrats leaving the HRD ministry, a lot of joint secretaries and also press secretaries leaving. IIT Madras ban on discussion forum was also widely discussed across the country. Good Governance Day controversy is known to all, which resulted in a lot of media coverage on that day. German Sanskrit Law is the most widely known issue, with the German embassy also taking it up. The IIM bill, which talked of autonomy versus government control of IIMs. Separate canteens in IIT was a very popular issue which was taken up, about vegetarian and non-vegetarian food being the point in discussion. So I go across to Amit Malviya. Amit Malviya, if you may tell me what kind of message this whole reshuffle shows. I mean, the party and also the government. If you see Modi and party president Amit Shah, it shows that they have consolidated their hold by saying that nobody is above scrutiny and everybody will be judged on performance. Yes, Amit, can you hear me? Okay, I think we have lost the link with Amit. I have got Vinod Sharma on the phone link. Vinod Sharma, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mr. Sharma, if you could tell me what kind of message does such a reshuffle send? Is that nobody is above scrutiny and action can be taken against all and sundry and everybody, and have Modi and Amit Shah consolidated their hold over the party and the government with such kind of a reshuffle?
Well, two things, One, you have to look at this reshuffle from the point of view of accommodating certain social groups and also certain provinces in the state, in the country.
Yes.
And if you see that, there have been fresh inductions from Rajasthan, from Madhya Pradesh, from Punjab, insofar as Mr. Ahluwalia is concerned, because Mr. Modi did not have a Sikh in his cabinet except for the Akali representation, and that too in the form of Harsimrat Kaur.
Yes.
And Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh. Now, these are the states which are going to go to elections next year and year after next.
Yes.
So, I think that in terms of social representation and in terms of provincial representation, this new ministry now has adequate vernacular representation and is in good balance with the technocrats and with people who are in a position to run the government, help the Prime Minister run the government. Second,
Yes.
that the Prime Minister has conveyed that in Lutyens, Delhi, where he once perceived himself as an outsider,
Yes.
and he mentioned that as much in his first speech from the Red Fort on
Yes.
August 15, first speech, that he was an outsider, he felt like an outsider in Delhi,
Yes.
and that Delhi, and there was so much of war in Delhi, and there were governments within governments in Delhi. So now the message has gone out that nobody should take the Prime Minister for granted,
Okay.
and that he is one person who is going to not be part of any group or any faction which is trying to block the other.
Vinod Sharma,
So I think
if I may ask you,
there's an indelible stamp of the Prime Minister.
Okay. If
together
I may
with
ask you
the
one
party
small
chief
thing.
and the RSS.
If I may ask you one small thing, what message does the reshuffle and the, what you can say, shifting of Smriti Irani from HRD to textile, of Jayant Sinha from finance to aviation, and Sadananda Gowda to statistics and program implementation send out? The most high profile would be Smriti Irani's shifting or demotion, as many people may call it.
Well, I don't want to use adjectives so far as Smriti is concerned. The fact remains that the HRD is way more crucial portfolio than the Ministry of Textile. And the Ministry of Textile was earlier headed by a Minister of State with independent charge.
Yes.
And it has been given to Smriti, who is a full cabinet minister.
Yes.
So in that sense, politically, it's a kind of a demotion for her.
Yes.
But at the same time, let's also accept that textile is a crucial ministry for job generation.
Yes.
And it is one ministry you can't just wish away. It is not like something like statistics and program implementation, to which Mr. Sadananda Gowda has been done after being divested of law ministry. Mr. Gowda's transfer out of the law ministry was expected because he was not really up to the task there.
Okay, Vinod Sharma, your final comment as somebody who's an editor for the past 3 decades and seen politics through various governments, what would be your headline for this reshuffle?
After this, the Prime Minister does not require to reshuffle or expand his cabinet until 2019. Because in terms of social representation and in terms of domain expertise, which is complete, because he's brought in a cancer specialist, he's brought in a water management expert,
Yes.
and he's brought in a Supreme Court lawyer.
Yes.
In this new ministry, besides giving representation to lesser known people in the elite circles of Delhi.
Okay, thank you so much, Vinod Sharma. We'll come back to you shortly, but I've got Mohammad Khan of the Congress party joining me. Mohammad, what would you call today's reshuffle? First, the decision on Smriti Irani, Jayant Sinha, Sadananda Gowda, as well as a whole lot of changes across the ministries. Have Modi and Amit Shah consolidated their hold over the party? And overall, what do you think of Smriti Irani's what you can say demotion, as many would say, because the textile ministry was earlier led by a minister of state?
Right. Tarun, first of all, I think the best way to summarize this entire reshuffle is, in the words of Mr. Randeep Surjewala, maximum government, minimum governance. That is all that has happened. They have a huge cabinet now, which in light of the fact that the previous cabinet composition did not yield much or achieve much, they were left with no choice but to reshuffle the few players that they have around. Of course, there has been representation to people from UP, Rajasthan and other politically significant states, but then you and I can both infer as to what end that has been done for. Now coming to Ms. Smriti Irani, of course this is a step down for her. As my previous co-panelist just rightly pointed out, this is a post usually reserved for an MOS, and she's been given this post as a full cabinet minister.
Yes.
Either you can look at it as an elevation of the portfolio, or you can look at it as a demotion of the individual concerned. Now, Miss Smriti Irani's tenure itself was fraught with conflict from the get-go. And I think your channel did a fantastic job of listing out the 10 huge things that she will be remembered for. None of them good, right? What is she remembered for? She's remembered for her fight with the IIT director. She's remembered for her fights with the NCRT chairman Sinclair. She's remembered for the comments given by Kakodkar, who was a member of the IIT Bombay Directors Committee. She is remembered for her fight with the member secretary of ICHR. The list goes on and on, right? Let's look at it from a policy front. What did she manage to achieve? She's had 2 years, 2 months, mind you, by this time. And no work has taken place on the national education policy. Consultations began, we were following them closely, and then they came to an abrupt halt. Nothing has happened since. That speaks volumes about the capability of the minister in charge. Secondly, you raised a question at the start of the show as to whether this is a move aimed towards the UP polls. Let me remind you that this very Prime Minister allowed Sarbananda Sonowal, I think he was holding the portfolio of youth affairs and sports.
Yes.
And he allowed him to retain his ministerial position while he campaigned as a lead campaigner in Assam.
Yes.
So I don't think the message here is for UP. I mean, you can spin it whichever way you like to save face. But the fact is, this is indeed a very glaring narrative and testimony on her performance as a minister so far.
Okay, point taken. I have got some statements made by politicians on this whole reshuffle. My team will play it out for you right away.
स्मृति ईरानी के बारे में साफ दिख रहा था कि पूरी शिक्षा विभाग का भट्टा बिठा दिया था, तो अपनी सरकार की साख बचाने के लिए और शिक्षा विभाग को थोड़ा बहुत बचाने के लिए उनसे ये प्रोग्राम लिया गया है। उसका तो खैर हम वेलकम करते हैं, क्योंकि शायद शिक्षा मंत्रियों में सबसे अगर कोई खराब शिक्षा की मंत्री कोई इस देश में आज तक रही हैं तो स्मृति ईरानी रही हैं। अब आगे देखते हैं, प्रकाश जावड़ेकर जी का भी कोई पर्यावरण में बहुत अच्छा कोई काम नहीं रहा है। हर क्षेत्र में उन्होंने इंडस्ट्री को बढ़ावा दिया है और उन चीज़ों को जिससे जंगल कटे, जंगल के अंदर काम हो, उन सब चीज़ों को बढ़ावा दिया है। प्राइवेटाइजेशन के समर्थक एक तरीके से देखे जाते हैं। तो देखिए वो क्या करते हैं शिक्षा विभाग में।
Well, it's reshuffle of non-performing liability, NPT. I mean, whether you move these liabilities from one portfolio to the other or the inductions, they don't energize anybody in this country.
So, Amit Malviya, how would you react to what the Congress party is saying about this reshuffle?
Congress's reaction on this reshuffle or expansion, as it is more like it,
Yes.
is quite on expected lines. We don't expect them to say good things about what our government has done. Unfortunately, that's the kind of politics, the kind of negative politics that the Congress has been doing for the last 2 years that they've been out of office.
Yes.
But having said that, let me focus on the positives of this expansion and the subsequent reshuffle. The Prime Minister has ensured that he has brought in the best people and put them and given them responsibilities wherein they can perform and ensure that the vision that this government has for this country is executed over the next 3 years, which is the residual term of this government. He has gotten former IAS officers who have now been elected representatives. He has gotten doctors, he's gotten lawyers, he's got young people into his cabinet. He's got people who have had ministerial experience.
Amit, I got your larger point. Amit, I got your larger point. But one thing that I would like to ask you, Amit, one thing I would like to focus on today and also ask you, see, there are such certain big decisions that were taken. These were no small by any measure. Shifting Smriti Irani from HRD to Textile was one such big decision, one of the most high profile ministers of the BJP-led NDA government. Also, Jayant Sinha going from finance to aviation, and also Javadekar, his rise from being to a cabinet rank. Not only that, but getting HRD. What kind of messages is the government sending out? Because shunting of Smriti to textiles is no mean feat. She was, I mean, a minister of state was heading the textiles ministry earlier. What is the message that the government is sending out?
Look, first of all, the Prime Minister
Yes.
is fully entitled to decide who he wants to put where. It is his prerogative to decide what is the kind of constitution of his council should be, who should be where, and he has exercised that right. That is point number one. Point number two is that you see somebody moving from one ministry to another as being demoted or being shunted out. Perhaps we don't see it that way. We are looking at ensuring that textile, which is a very large industry as far as our country is concerned, is handled by somebody of a cabinet rank and not of an MOS rank, and that's why somebody like Smriti has been moved to that ministry. As she said in her interview, you know, it is a sector that is very closely intertwined with India's rise as an economic power. It employs several million people in this country. It relates to India's culture, India's history, and she is now being made responsible for that. So to say that her move from HRD to textile is a demotion is just being uncharitable to her. Similarly, whether you look at Jayant Sinha's move from finance to aviation, you must realize that our government has just launched a program to revive 50 airports which have not been used commercially so far. We want to revive the aviation sector in this country. We want to make aviation accessible and affordable to the common man. We've just come out with a policy where we are saying that you will be able to fly over short distances in as little as 2,500 rupees. Obviously, to make all of that a reality, we must put in the right kind of people, and that is what we have done.
So Amit
and
Malviya
with this expansion, the Prime
Amit
Minister
Malviya thinks it's just a routine exercise and no demotions have happened. Amit Malviya thinks that it's just a routine exercise. I've got Harsh Ranjan, a senior journalist, joining me on the debate. Harsh, if you could, can you hear me, Harsh?
Yes, please.
Harsh, if you could tell me, does this indicate something to you? Smriti Irani shifting from high profile HRD to textiles ministry, a kind of what you can say promotion to Prakash Javadekar, and shifting of Jayant Sinha and also Sadanand Gowda to what you call as statistics and program implementation. What do you think of this?
See, I was just hearing Mr. Amit Malviya.
Yes.
He's very right when he says that it's a prerogative of the Prime Minister to allocate portfolios. That's correct.
Yes.
But see, only one minister, that is Prakash Javadekar, was promoted yesterday
Yes.
in cabinet expansion.
Yes.
And why he was promoted? Because he must have done a very good job. He must have performed very well, excellent. Everything is okay. If he has performed very well and excellent and outstanding, then the first controversy, the first contradiction, what I feel is why he has been moved out of that ministry, the environment ministry, number one, point
Yes.
number one. Point number two, Smriti Irani. Everyone talked about when she was given a cabinet rank and then the HRD ministry. During the last 2 years, if Smriti Irani had done a very good job in HRD ministry, that could be a case. Then why was she removed from there? Number one. If she has not performed in the last 2 years, why she was there for the last 2 years? So there are many stories going under table, which I can't say, which must BJP leaders would know what exactly has happened. But what I have heard, what I have been given to understand from my sources, that at one or two occasions, Smriti Irani even refused to obey Prime Minister's order. And that could be one of
That's
the
a
reasons,
big
so
statement.
I'm not sure of it.
That's a big statement coming from you, Harsh. Is that if that would be true, that would be something which is, I think, pretty much a reason that such a decision would have been taken. I'll move to Mohammad Khan. Mohammad, first, do you concur with the point that the BJP spokesperson made, and what do you think of Harsh's what observation?
Right. Tarun, I respectfully disagree with the BJP spokesperson. I don't envy his position. He has to defend something which there isn't really much, there really isn't anything much to say about.
Yes.
The implications are there for everyone to see. The conclusions that people like Mr. Harsh Ranjan and my other co-panelist, Mr. Vinod Sharma, like they laid out before you, as they explained, they're very clear. You can't be naive and say, no, this was just done by way of giving importance to the Ministry of Textiles and so on and so forth. There were very clear and compelling issues to remove Ms. Smriti Irani. They were taken into consideration. There was a constant barrage of complaints against her. This is the lady, you gave a very good example, who on 25th December first announced Good Governance Day, denied it in Parliament and was forced to confront the truth when the circular became known. This is a lady who was mired in controversy when the whole issue of Sanskrit being taken over as a third language and German being removed from Kendriya Vidyalaya schools was taken up. She handled it poorly then as well. This was a non-performer. In fact, they should take pride in saying that they removed her due to her non-performance rather than hemming and hawing and trying to do damage control on this issue. The other thing is, look, this government has again let down the common public. I'll tell you how. This is a government which measures its performances by Facebook likes and Twitter retweets. Right? All they do is make announcements, and based on the likes and based on the traction that they get on social media, they declare victory and success before anything is actually done on the ground. The people of India have waited for 2 years with the former cabinet composition to see the results of their so-called development. I think with this new eyewash cabinet formation, I think we'll be waiting 2.5 years more, and by then it will be time for the elections. You can only fool people for so long.
Harsh Ranjan, I like to ask Harsh Ranjan. Harsh, you made a very important point when I asked you the last question about there being some differences between the PMO and Smriti Irani. If you could extrapolate on that fact that you put out.
That what I have been given to understand from my sources and from internal sources of BJP, that was the point that at one or two occasions, Smriti Irani did not obey what PMO wanted, number one. But I'll go ahead. I'll also like to discuss about Mr. Jayant Sinha portfolio. See, Prime Minister gave a formula of energy, expertise and experience. The point well taken. It's a very good move. The formula is also very nice. But what Mr. Jayant Sinha has to do with civil aviation, he has been a core economist. He is from Harvard, not by only virtue of being son of Mr. Yashwant Sinha, who had been finance minister of India.
He worked as a venture capitalist in USA.
Mr. Jayant Sinha himself is a great economist, and he was doing well in finance ministry. So I can't take that point. You have to come up with more modern airports and you have to modernize flights and airlines. That way, Mr. Jayant Sinha has been taken into civil aviation ministry. That point is not taken by me or by anyone else. I hope so, because he is a core economics guy. So if you are relying on the formula of expertise, then the expertise of Mr. Jayant Sinha lies in economy, not in civil aviation.
Point taken. Both points taken. Thank you so much, Harsh Ranjan, for joining us. We have a statement from Smriti Irani. We'll play it out for you right away.
मुझे लगता है कि एक साल में देश के सभी स्कूलों में टॉयलेट बनाना सभी राज्यों के साथ अपने आप में इस बात का प्रतीक है कि जब जब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें दिशा दी, हमने उन कर्तव्यों का पालन किया। मुझे ये भी लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी पर व्यापक रूप से हर राज्य से, हर गांव से डेलिब्रेशन करके उनके बिंदुओं को सम्मिलित करने का प्रयास भारत के इतिहास में पहली बार हुआ, जो जनता के समक्ष है। मुझे ये भी ज्ञात है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी का सपना है कि टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री को एक बूस्ट मिले, जो उनके मार्गदर्शन और उनके नेतृत्व में जो नया टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री के लिए पैकेज घोषित हुआ है।
So I'll go across to Mohammad Khan. Mohammad, you saw what Smriti Irani just said.
I need to come in here.
Does Amit want to come in?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, Mohammad, tell me.
Yes, please.
Yes, I mean, I don't think anybody in her position would say otherwise. In fact, I think she's putting up a very brave face. And I mean, you read what you may from that statement. She's making the best of a bad situation. But as you rightly pointed out, Tarun, this isn't just about Ms. Irani. I think the only commendable move they've done is remove a non-performer. But the fact is that this was a lackluster and a pointless exercise in diverting people's attention again. You can induct whoever you like into the cabinet. Please start working. Stop making announcements. We are tired of constantly listening to your jumlas, and we're tired of constantly hearing about programs that never seem to proceed after the initial announcement. So therefore, our call is you expand your cabinet. You've already violated your mantra of minimum government, maximum governance by this expansion. Let us at least hope you don't violate more of your continued and vast list of promises.
Okay, point taken. Amit, you wanted to comment. Amit, would you like to rebut the point made by Congress and also by Harsh on some differences between the PMO and HRD or implementation of some schemes or maybe things in IIMs is what we are told?
Let me just come in. The point that Harsh made, I think it is completely incorrect. There are no differences between the PMO and any of his ministers. So what he said is completely unfounded, baseless and malicious.
Yes.
That's point number one.
Yes.
Point number two is, as far as Smriti Irani's legacy of 2 years in HRD ministry is concerned, we will let people judge for themselves. The new education policy, the draft of which is out, is there. As she herself said, one of the biggest programs that she undertook was building toilets in several lakhs of schools in this country, which will ensure that more and more girl child continue to be in school and don't have to leave school, in their early teen years. And those and several others are going to be some of the issues that are going to come up. Let's not judge her stay in HRD ministry by the controversies that were created by the media. That has been largely uncharitable to her.
Yes, yes.
And thirdly, let me just explain for your viewers what maximum governance and minimum government means.
Yes.
It essentially means that the government's role in your lives reduces, and Prime Minister Modi has ensured that from the word go, he has removed several obsolete laws. He's made sure that the government has become more efficient. You, as an individual, don't have to go to government offices, everything for your work, because everything is now available online. It's available on your mobile phones. It's become far more transparent. It's the corruption, the retail corruption at the lowest level has gone down significantly. And several other such initiatives that make the government
moving in for our final closing comment, Amit. I'm just coming back to you.
Seamless.
Mohammed, you give me a closing comment. I'm coming back to Amit for his closing comment after this. Mohammed, give me a closing comment about 10 seconds.
Yeah, very quickly, we would just like to say we've heard enormously about the successes of the Modi government, not least from Modi ji himself and his colleagues. Can we now start seeing some measure of actual work happening on the ground instead of just hearing announcements?
Point taken. Amit, now you can give me a closing comment about 30 to 45 seconds and then we can close.
Well, I like the way the Congress spokesperson wants to see work on ground. Perhaps his idea of work is corruption and more corruption and daily corruption. Unfortunately, our government does not indulge in it. Our work is there for people to see. You get on to Indian Railway, you see the way it is being managed. You get on and speak to 20 crore people who've got bank accounts for the first time and talk to them about financial inclusion. That's the kind of work that we are doing. You speak to several lakhs and millions of beneficiaries of our Mudra financing. You talk to young entrepreneurs who are
we are actually running out of time. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Amit, for making your points.
That is the kind of work we are doing, and not indulging in corruption as Congress.
Point taken. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Amit, for joining us on this debate today. As the BJP is defending that shifting of Smriti Irani from HRD to textiles was not demotion, they are also saying that this is a normal reshuffle. The Congress and many others don't agree. Let us see what shape the government also takes in the next 3 years. Are there any more reshuffles, or is this the final one that Prime Minister Modi has undertaken? Thank you so much for joining us on this debate today.